We've waited a long time for today. We've waited 4.5 years to get justice for Lindsay, and we have achieved that today, and we're very pleased.
On March 24th, 2007, British teacher Lindsay Ann Hawker left her home to give an English lesson to a student who desperately needed it. After a successful tutoring session at a local coffee shop in Tokyo, Lindsay did not hesitate to collect her fees from the student Tatsuya's house. After assuring the taxi driver that she would be back in a few minutes, Lindsay went inside the house, only to never come out again. So what horrors were awaiting poor Lindsay? How did the story of a young English teacher end up in such a dreadful tragedy? Let's dive right into this mystery without any further ado. Today's story takes us to Tokyo, Japan, one of the most popular tourist destinations around the globe. Situated at the head of Tokyo Bay on the Pacific coast of central Honshu, Japan's capital Tokyo is the largest metropolitan city in the world. Tokyo is known for its world-class transport system, otaku culture, historic temples, and wonderful cuisine. Old-school cultures mixed with futuristic technology provide the city with a certain charm. Although Tokyo is considered one of the safest places to live, a gruesome crime in 2007 would tell a different story. Bill Hawker and Julia Hawker raised their 3 kids in Coventry, West Midlands, England. Paul was the owner of a driving school, while Julia worked as a policy advisor. They both worked very hard to provide the best life for their 3 children, Lisa, Lindsay, and Louise. Born on December 30th, 1984, Lindsay Ann Hawker was the middle born of the 3 girls. Living an idyllic life, this family of 5 were close to one another. Lindsay was described as a free-spirited, kind, intelligent, and beautiful girl. She was gorgeous inside and out. Despite being so popular throughout her life, she was the kind of person who would drop anything to help someone. Lindsay's brilliance in academics was never hidden from anyone who knew her. After completing high school at King Henry VII School in Coventry, she completed her A-levels in biology, history, and computing. She then ventured to Leeds University to study biology and went on to achieve first-class honors degree in biology, graduating in 2006. Going for a master's degree was Lindsay's next plan. However, her adventurous spirit led her down another path. Lindsay had a lot going on for her. After obtaining her master's degree, she wanted to become a doctor, marry her boyfriend of 4 years, Ryan, and start her own family. However, before pursuing the master's degree, Lindsay wanted to take a break from her studies to add a new perspective to her life. So, in mid-2006, she hatched a plan to teach English in another country. She soon found herself signing up for Nova Teaching School in Tokyo, Japan. It was the country that Lindsay always wanted to visit at some point in her life, as she had fallen in love with its culture long ago. Like a dream coming true, Lindsay surpassed the tough competition and finally earned the chance to teach at Nova Teaching School for 1 year. Lindsay was so excited to go to Japan that she went from learning Japanese to studying their culture before ever boarding the plane. Nova English School is considered one of the largest private schools that recruits people from every corner of the globe to teach English in Osaka and Tokyo. After landing in Tokyo, Lindsay quickly found comfort in her work. She was loved by all her students and coworkers, and even shared accommodation in Chiba with 2 other female teachers. In fact, she adapted so well in Japan that she made friends with locals within a short span of time. Despite her busy schedule, Lindsay stayed in regular contact with her family and her boyfriend. In December 2006, around the time of her birthday, Lindsay's parents visited her in Japan. She was so happy to see them and smiled the whole time. In the summer of 2007, Ryan was set to visit Lindsay, and they were to travel together and settle down in the UK. It was at this time that a bizarre incident took place that changed Lindsay's life and the lives of all those who loved her. The strange event involved meeting Tatsuya Ichihashi, a 28-year-old Japanese man. Tatsuya Ichihashi was born to a medical doctor father and a dentist mother on November 5, 1979, in Gifu Prefecture, Japan. Due to his parents' frequent relocation, Ichihashi grew up back and forth between Gifu and Chiba. With luxury always within his reach, Ichihashi was simply a spoiled brat. After completing his graduation in the Department of Horticulture from Chiba University in 2005, he remained unemployed. Even at such an adult age, he was living off of 100,000 yen allowance from his parents, which was equivalent to about $600 at the time. Although Ichihashi did not have an official criminal record, he had been the subject of allegations of theft and injury 6 years prior to before he met Lindsay. Allegedly, he assaulted a woman on the street during a robbery, but the matter was settled outside of court for an undisclosed amount. This should have been a lesson in Ichihashi's life, but it changed nothing. In March 2006, he was 28 years old and lived in a 3 BHK luxury apartment at his parents' expense. Ichihashi was a loner who kept to himself while obsessing over physical fitness. He followed a daily routine of attending the gym and cycling 25 kilometers. His interest in violent manga comics showed signs of a psychopathic mindset. He was in a stable relationship with a woman for almost a year, but that did not stop him from stalking a young woman on public transport. At the end of March 2007, Lindsay shared a weird experience she had with a local guy, Tatsuya Ichihashi. In an email sent to her boyfriend Ryan, she wrote how Ichihashi had approached Lindsay on her train journey home from work. At first, he claimed that she was his English teacher, but backed away a bit when Lindsay denied ever teaching him. He then asked her to confirm that she was an English teacher. If this was not creepy enough, after exiting the train, he ran after Lindsay's bicycle all the way back to her apartment. Ichihashi then requested a glass of water, assuring Lindsay that he wouldn't bother her anymore after that. Perhaps any other person would have called for help instead of indulging the stalker's request and giving him a glass of water, but the kind of person Lindsay was, despite freaking out, she still felt sorry for him. She confessed to Ryan that she let Ichihashi inside her apartment, considering it as an opportunity to show his face to her coworkers, just in case something bad were to happen. After entering the apartment, Ichihashi took a paper and pen and drew a sketch of Lindsay, signing it with his name, contact number, and email address. At this point, Ichihashi had already asked her if she was interested in giving him an English lesson, but Lindsay, being cautious, said that she had a tight schedule. However, she could not reject the offer when Ichihashi proposed that they could meet in a public place and told her that he would pay her generously by the hour. The meeting was scheduled for 4 days after the day he sent her the email. Poor Lindsay had no idea that she had just made a deal with the devil, which would cost her more than she could have ever imagined. On Saturday, March 24, 2007, Lindsay and Ichihashi met in Dotour Cafe in East Tokyo. The lesson went on for over an hour, and everything seemed to be going well. Then Ichihashi told her to come with him to his place to obtain the money, as he did not bring the money with him. Though a little worried, Lindsay decided to go with him as she did not want to miss out on the hard-earned money. So the two hopped inside a taxi. Lindsay had to work later in the afternoon, so when they reached the destination, Lindsay told the taxi driver to wait for her as she would be right back within a few minutes. The taxi driver waited for the next 7 minutes and then went on his way thinking that she had changed her mind. Lindsay never came out of that house. Lindsay neither showed up for work that day nor did she make it to her apartment. Her coworkers grew worried but assumed that she might be staying with a friend. But Saturday turned into Sunday and Sunday turned into Monday. It was only on Monday, March 26, 2007, when Lindsay missed the second day of work without any prior notice, that panic set in among her colleagues. Nova Teaching School informed Lindsay's parents and filed a missing person report to the authorities. When the police were finally involved in Lindsay Hawker's disappearance, 2 critical days had already passed. But they had a suspect in mind. During the investigation, Lindsay's roommates told the detectives that she went to meet a man named Ichihashi before she went missing. In addition, the note signed by Ichihashi with his contact information was a big clue for them. Detectives also extracted the CCTV footage of Dutour Cafe and confirmed that Lindsay was with Ichihashi. At around 5:40 p.m., 2 police officers were dispatched to Ichihashi's house, but they did not have a warrant, so they were not permitted to go in without cause. They waited by the front door before a neighbor let them into his apartment balcony. Officers noticed that although no lights were on, someone was lurking around inside the apartment. For some odd reason, the detachable bathtub of Ichihashi's apartment was removed and placed on the balcony. The officers called for backup, as they suspected Lindsay could be held hostage in the apartment. Within an hour, 7 more officers arrived at the scene. Police were banging on his door when suddenly Ichihashi flung open the door and stormed past the officers barefoot. In a moment of shock, police officers let Ichihashi slip away while managing to grab his rucksack. In the absence of radio equipment, police could not keep track of him and the man vanished into the Tokyo crowd. Investigators were in for a gruesome shock when they entered Ichihashi's apartment. The bathtub placed on the balcony was filled with sand and soil. Flower seeds were on top of the bathtub to disguise it as a flowering tub. Upon closer inspection, the bathtub revealed a hand emerging out of the debris. The body, which was bound and gagged with plastic ties and scarves, was identified as Lindsay's after the autopsy. Further details from the autopsy report revealed that Lindsay was raped and bruises were found all over her upper body. Decomposing agents were also placed in the bathtub to speed up the decomposition process. In her final hours, Lindsay was subjected to an extreme assault. For some unknown sick reason, before killing Lindsay, Ichihashi shaved off her beautiful hair as a sick final insult. By the next morning, Tatsuya Ichihashi was officially a wanted man. All over Japan, police distributed wanted posters with his photo printed on them. Not only that, but his face was all over the media and news channels. Police asked the public to come forward with any information or possible sightings of Ichihashi. Police even released Ichihashi's photoshopped images wearing wigs, as after finding wigs in his apartment, a reward was announced for anyone who would come forward with legitimate information about the wanted man. But in spite of all their efforts, it seemed as though Ichihashi had vanished into thin air. Lindsay's family was devastated and frustrated. They went through all the pain of losing Lindsay only to watch the killer get away. Months after Lindsay's death, her parents, Bill and Julia, traveled to Japan from the UK to raise awareness about their daughter's murder. They believe that the Japanese police did not do their job properly, allowing the killer to slip away from the grip of 9 police officers. Japanese police were in the light of constant criticism. Soon, British and Japanese media got involved in the situation, which was only getting worse. During all of this turmoil and publicity, Ichihashi was out there somewhere, living his life.
After a very bungled start to my daughter's murder, they've got their man. They've worked tirelessly, and they've eventually got the man. And the chief officer told me they would get the man sooner or later. We're just so relieved that this part of our life is over. I can go down to my daughter's grave this afternoon.
During his time on the run, Ichihashi had actually traveled most of Japan. Between 2008 and 2009, he settled down in Osaka City, located 250 miles from West Tokyo, where the crime was committed. During this time, he routinely lived in internet cafes and worked on construction sites. To avoid detection at times, he even lived in a concrete bunker on a remote island. Any money that he earned all went to plastic surgery in order to change his appearance. However, Ichihashi had already changed his appearance through self-mutilation right after he became a fugitive. This is how he was able to evade arrest for so long. He cut off his mole, a part of his lower lip, and altered the shape of his nose by sewing it with thread. In 2009, in desperate need of information, the Japanese police increased the amount of the reward that was announced before. Police also released a statement saying that they believe that Ichihashi had performed cosmetic surgery on his face to alter his appearance, and that people need to be on the lookout for unique identifying marks. In October 2009, after 2 years of evading justice, Ichihashi's time was up. Following the release statement from the police, a plastic surgeon called investigators with some valuable information regarding the case. The doctor believed that the man he had just performed plastic surgery on was none other than Tatsuya Ichihashi. Call it foolishness or recklessness, but Ichihashi allowed the surgeon to take a before and after picture of the surgery. Those photos eventually blew his cover, and the ruse was finally discovered when one of his co-workers from the construction site recognized Ichihashi and called the police. Realizing what had happened, Ichihashi fled Osaka and took shelter in the abandoned bunkers found in the neighboring remote islands. In November 2009, he made a run for a ferry in Osaka ferry port. This was when finally his luck would run out, as a staff member recognized him and informed the police. On November 10, 2009, after keeping a low profile for 3 more days, police apprehended Ichihashi. Realizing that his game was over, he immediately confessed to being Tatsuya Ichihashi. With his arrest, one of Japan's most notorious criminal investigations came to a conclusion. However, Ichihashi did not confess to the murder immediately during his initial 23-day period of detention. He was originally charged with 1 count of abandoning a body, but police later added 2 more charges of rape and murder. On December 23, 2009, one of Ichihashi's lawyers announced that he had finally acknowledged involvement in Lindsay's death, but also claimed that he had not killed her intentionally. In court, he claimed that he had accidentally suffocated Lindsay during the sexual assault, and that his efforts to resurrect her had failed. On July 21, 2011, the Chiba District Court of Japan sentenced Ichihashi to life imprisonment for the senseless murder of Lindsay Hawker. Although Lindsay's family was seeking the death penalty, they were satisfied with the sentence as their prolonged wait for justice was finally over. Lindsay's father, Bill, said, "We've waited 4.5 years to get justice for Lindsay. We have achieved that today, and we are very pleased."
I can go down to my daughter's grave this afternoon and tell her. Thank you.
Ichihashi wrote a book entitled Until I Was Arrested in 2011 about his time on the run. He offered Lindsay's family all of the royalties the book might earn, an offer the family had rejected. In 2013, a movie, I Am Ichihashi, Journal of a Murderer, was also released based on the book Ichihashi wrote. However, Lindsay's family found it distasteful. Do you think that the police work was not up to par in this case? Let us know in the comments section if you have any insights into this tragic case. Thank you for joining us in today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating true crime stories like this. Stay tuned for more episodes.